morning.
Good morning.
All right. Now, after many false starts this morning, we are finally getting to record the first Labor of Heracles. Last time, I introduced you to Heracles, who he isn't the first Greek hero, but he's the biggest, the best, and the mightiest. As I said last time, he's called sort of the hyperhero of Greek mythology. He's the original superhero. He is a demigod, the son of Zeus, and he is hugely, hugely strong. And as happened last time, or as we found out last time, he had committed a terrible crime. Now, the crime wasn't really his fault. It was the fault of Hera, who drove him mad. So he's being given a chance to atone for his crime, to make up for what he had done. But it isn't going to be easy because of how horrible that crime was. And his punishment, handed down to him from on high, was that he had to complete 10 great labors. And the judge for those labors was going to be King Eurystheus of Tiryns. And Hera was very, very happy with that choice, because probably the only person in the world who hated Heracles as much as Hera did was Eurystheus. Because Eurystheus was actually Heracles' cousin. But where Heracles was big and powerful and popular and loved by all, Eurystheus was not. People did not like him. And how did that make him feel? Yes, that's how he felt. He was jealous and petty and wanted bad things to happen to Heracles. And now he was given the ability to make sure that bad things happened to Heracles. And the first of those bad things was going to be the Nemean Lion. Because Eurystheus and Hera had gotten together and decided that they were going to make these labors not just hard, but impossible. And if they could manage it at all, they were going to get Heracles killed. And the Nemean Lion seemed like a really, really good way to get that to happen. Because the Nemean Lion wasn't just a lion that happened to live in the valley of Nemea. The Nemean Lion was a descendant of I blanked on her name.
Echidna.
Thank you!
Echidna.
My secret assistant off screen came up with the name in a clinch. I blanked. It was Echidna. Way back in the original myth, I told you the story of Typhon and Echidna, sent by Gaia to punish the Greek gods. And Typhon and Echidna showed up and were horrible, terrible enemies for the Greek gods to face. Now, Typhon was defeated and buried beneath Mount Aetna, but Echidna escaped. Echidna, serpent-bodied, hideous-faced, fang-mouthed, drizzling poison from her teeth, she slithered away into the darkness of the underworld. And there she gave birth to many, many monsters. And one of those monsters was the Nemean Lion. Can you give a good lion roar? Very good.
I want to eat you.
All right, and that's exactly what the Nemean Lion would have said. I want to eat you. Now, the Nemean Lion wasn't just a lion. It was a huge lion. But it wasn't just a huge lion. It was a lion with claws that could cut through just about anything, and a hide, a fur pelt that couldn't be cut by any weapon. And so this lion was wreaking havoc in the valley of Nemea. People were dying all the time. They needed to get rid of it. And a hero like Heracles seemed like their one chance to get it done. So, Eurystheus gave Heracles this job. He said, you must travel to the land of Nemea, to the valley of Nemea, and you must defeat the Nemean Lion and bring back proof that it's dead. And so Heracles set off. He traveled and traveled and traveled. He does a lot of traveling with these labors. And he finally traveled until he got there. And he was concerned at how he was going to hunt the lion down. Turned out, it wasn't that hard, because all he had to do was follow the trail of bloody bits from all the lion's victims and all the wrecked villages and homes and livestock, because this lion was hungry and it was eating everything it could get its fangs on. And so finally Heracles, across the valley, saw the lion munching on something.
That's called a house.
It's called a house?
Uh-huh.
Okay, we'll see the lion was munching on a house. So Heracles pulled out his bow, knocked an arrow, and let an arrow fly. And the arrow flew straight and it flew true. And guess what happened when it hit the lion?
Bounce back.
It bounced back. The arrow bounced right off. But the lion now realized Heracles was here. And it charged at Heracles. And he let loose like another 3 arrows. And each one, ping, 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 bounced right off the lion. Until finally, as the lion got closer and closer and closer, Heracles dropped his bow and arrow, drew out his huge wooden club, heavy as anything, and he smashed the lion over the head as hard as he could. I mean, he just drove that lion's head into the ground like a nail. And he hit it so hard that his wooden club flew into splinters, into tiny little toothpick-sized pieces. And all he had left was the stubby handle of his club. You know what the lion did? It got up and reared up on its rear feet and lunged at Heracles. And so now Heracles had no choice but to fight the lion with his bare hands. And he punched it, and he wrestled with it, and he struggled all the time trying to keep his horrible, horrible teeth and his terrible sharp claws away from his own delicate skin. And what sound did the lion make when it was fighting Heracles? Yes. Oh, what? Show me the terrible claws. Terrible, terrible claws. Yep, just like that. So, Heracles finally picked up the lion, and he squeezed the lion, and he squeezed the lion, and he squeezed the lion tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter until the lion realized something. Its skin couldn't be cut by any weapons, but that didn't protect the guts inside of it. And he squeezed that lion like a tube of toothpaste, and he squished the lion to death until it was dead in his arms. And once the lion was dead, he picked it up, and he took its claws, and he skinned the lion with its own claws. And he pulled that fur off of the lion and wrapped it around himself like a cloak. And he pulled the lion's head over his own and wore it like a helmet. Which is why in many, many drawings of Heracles, you will see him dressed in a lion's skin. Because that is what he wore. It became his armor. And so now, in addition to having rid the countryside of a terrible monster, he now had a magical suit of armor that could protect him from just about any weapon.
Win-win.
Win-win. And he was partied and celebrated with the locals, and then he headed back to King Eurystheus. And when King Eurystheus saw Heracles walk through the throne room doors, he screamed and ran and jumped into a giant vase in a corner and hid, because he thought the Nemean Lion itself had walked into his throne room. And he refused to come out until Heracles had taken off the terrible, terrible, frightening lion skin. And then, after he'd sent Heracles away, he and Hera got together and had to think of what the next labor was going to be, because they had thought he would never survive the Nemean Lion, but he did. And next time, I will tell you the story of that second labor. Until then, good luck with your own monsters, and hope you find some good stories.
Adios.
Goodbye.
And now, my special super secret off-screen assistant has an announcement to make.
Next week's story is The Hydra.